Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Music Podcast, where today I have with me rock royalty. He is widely recognized as one of the greatest drummers of all time and is often referred to as a prog rock god in the progressive rock community. He has sold tens of millions of records as part of the iconic progressive rock band Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and many more millions of records as part of another legendary band called Asia. As the last surviving member of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, he has found a way to bring the band back to life and back to the stage in a production being called Welcome Back, My Friends, the return of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It is with tremendous honor that I welcome Mr. Carl Palmer. Carl.
Hey, Scott. Good to be with you.
It is so great to be with you. And I want to give you a little bit of history of myself with you. I saw you when I was 8 years old in
Right.
1977. It's a long time coming. I had a chance to talk with Greg in 2013 and Keith in 2014. And so you're the missing piece in my ELP puzzle. And you taught me to listen to music differently and hear things
Okay.
differently. When you hit a cymbal, it's a note. It's not just a crashing sound.
Okay.
And that is the ELP mantra, really. Every note counts. But before we even start on any of that and the tour, tell me about your health. That's the most important thing. I know you had a procedure not even a month ago, right? How are you feeling?
I think it's a month ago this Wednesday. Now I'm feeling fine. It was a thing called atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heartbeat, and I'd already had what they call a cardioversion. That's when they put the defibrillators on your chest, two, and then one on your back, and they restart your heart and try and get it back into time. That worked for about 4 months, but then I went back into AFib, and I decided that the only thing that was left to do, and I was recommended the sooner I do it, the better, the more positive the results could be, if I had what they call an ablation. And it's a very simple procedure. Well, I say it's simple. It's I remember getting down to the operating theatre, and all I could see was like 5 or 6 screens around the bed, and they go in through your groin with the catheter up through the top here. They go through the muscle at the top of the heart, and then they go down, and they burn off 2 or 3 of the 4 of the arteries. That's taking the extra current into your heart, which is giving you the out of time sort of rhythm, as it were. And once they've done that, when the excess electric current comes into your heart, when it hits that dead sort of tube or whatever it might be, vein, it doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't go into the heart, so it doesn't throw your heart off the regular heartbeat.
Right.
And that's what I had done. So it's I was in and out on the same day, but it was about 16 hours.
Wow. Yeah, well, you look great. You sound great. Everything's good.
And I'm fine. I'm just starting to rehearse now here at home, and no, I'm it's good. All's good. It's great to be
Fantastic.
alive. It's just great to be alive. Trust me.
It's great to have you. It's great to have you. So far, there are 11 dates throughout the month of July that
Yep.
go from the East Coast of the United States to the Midwest. Am I to understand that you're taking this tour? The press release says taking this tour around to the parts of the world that you played with Greg and Keith.
Yeah, what we're going to do is exactly that. We had some problems at the beginning of the summer, nothing to do with my health or anything to do with me personally, and that's why we haven't got more dates in the summer than we would have liked at least double that. Anyway, we didn't achieve that and get the right sort of concerts, because this show has to be in the right environment for everyone to see these screens, which are roughly sort of 12 foot by 8 feet. There's one each side. There's one downstage, which is about 16 foot by whatever, 14 foot by 12. So, certain venues aren't quite big enough. So anyway, we've got these 11 dates, which are fine. And what we'll do is we'll come back in November and we'll play maybe 3 weeks of dates. And from there, we have already booked to go to Tokyo for 2 days, the first week in December. So there's possibly going to be Mexico City or whatever in between. It's not booked, but we're looking into it. So I would think by the time we come back at the end of the year, there'll be something like, I don't know, anywhere from 17 to 23 concerts.
Wow.
And 2 of those will be in Tokyo.
Wow. Wow. Does touring get more difficult for you now, or is
No,
it
I've never
maybe
found it
easier?
difficult anyway. I mean, it's never been
Yeah,
a difficult thing for me, to be honest.
great.
Yes, it's stressful, but I don't find it that difficult. I enjoy playing,
Mhm.
and I enjoy the music. So that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, who will we hear on this tour? I know we have the Royal Albert Hall 1992. It's a recording from that show. We see Keith, we see Greg on the film. You also have your band with you.
Mhm.
So how do they fit into this whole puzzle? What do we actually hear when we see the show?
So you actually, I don't know if you've had a chance or anyone got to send you a sizzle reel. If you hadn't received the sizzle reel, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Did you receive a sizzle reel?
Yes, yes.
So then the sizzle reel would really open that question up for you and give you the answers that you want. Basically, there's 6 to 7 tunes which I play along with Greg and Keith. And basically, it was a 2-night, 5-camera shoot at the Royal Albert Hall. And it was released on Sanctuary, and then Sanctuary sold out within 3 weeks of the release of this DVD by ELP, and Universal bought them out. So the actual DVD got lost in the wash, and it didn't sell very many, which is really good for me now. It wasn't good for us as a group then, but it's good for me now. So it's not super well known, which is good. Anyway, the quality was superb. The audio tracks were recorded separately, which means I could wipe the drums that you hear on the DVD. I could edit. The editing to get Keith and Greg right, it's taken about well, I just did one the other day actually for Lucky Man. I improved that. At least 9 weeks worth of editing, on and off, on and off. And obviously I replaced the drums on stage. So what you hear the original soundtrack from the Royal Albert Hall, the original footage of Keith and Greg. I had 5 cameras to choose from for each guy, so I could re-edit those shots so we get the best for this performance. And I end up playing along with them as if we were all on stage.
Right.
And at certain points, you see all 3 of us on the screen. Or if you don't see all 3 of us, you'll see Greg left and right, and you'll see Keith downstage, some vintage footage of Keith doing something else or doing whatever. So it's a complete sort of it's of today. It's where we are technically today. This is what we can achieve. I mean, it's better than a hologram, because these are the guys at the top of their game, at the top of their tree. And this is the way they would have liked to have done it. I mean, I went through the hologram thing. I went to Canada. I went to LA, looked at stuff. I even went to a Frank Zappa show and watched Frank Zappa's hologram. Where was that? Here in London at the London Palladium. And you know something? Whilst they're all okay, to me, they're not great. None of them seem to be that great. Anytime you can get the artist performing at the top of their game, and which I happen to have, I just think that's more of a genuine, more of an honest approach. And all I can tell you is that the families, both of the families, the Emersons and the Lakes, are totally behind the project. And the quality is high. Look, it's not IMAX quality, because we didn't have that then.
Sure.
But let me just say to you, with the screens that I'm using, which have got a very, very high pixel count, it works remarkably well, and it's something which needs to be seen and has to be done.
Absolutely. I've seen clips of it, and in the sizzle reel, and it's amazing to see you all together again. It brings back great memories for me, my childhood in reality there. So it's a wonderful thing. I was just wondering, you have 2 players on the stage with you.
Yeah. I didn't mention those, but those are the same guys that have been with me all the time. Paul Bielatovich, lead guitar, and Simon Fitzpatrick on the bass guitar, and Chapman stick. So what we do here, when I play things with Paul and Simon, be stuff like Hoedown or Carmina Burana or Tarkus. When I'm playing stuff with Keith and Greg, like Welcome Back, you name it, Fanfare for the Common Man, Lucky Man, From the Beginning. When I'm doing whatever pieces with them, it's basically a three-piece band with Keith, Greg, and myself. And what happens, Paul and Simon play some underlying sort of parts, some tighter parts, and just reinforce it a little bit. But the main track that you hear, it's of the two guys playing. So when Keith and Greg aren't up there, it's the three of us as a band. As everyone knows, that's been my sort of ELP legacy band for a number of years now. So we've amalgamated the two and integrated the show in such a way where there's about 6 songs with ELP, there's 6 songs with my band, and I think there's an odd piece of music that I keep in, which, believe it or not, is a great piano solo called Creole Dance by Keith, and that's just him on his own. From the Beginning, I play with Keith, with Greg on stage. That's just the two of us. Keith's not involved in that. So it's split up pretty evenly in a way, and it works. It definitely works.
It's just so exciting to me. It really is just so exciting. I've thought about this many times. Anytime you hear speak of drums, bass is a big, it's part of the rhythm section, the bass and drums locking together. Now you've had 2 pretty different experiences. You've had a keyboard bass with Keith playing his left hand, playing bass, and then with John Wetton in Asia playing an actual string bass guitar. Is there a difference for you as a drummer? Is one a little more difficult to lock in with? Do you hear it differently? Is it a different experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite arrogant in that area, I'll be honest with you, Scott. I don't lock in with the bass player. I get the bass player to lock in with me. It's a much tighter way round of doing it. Trying to lock into the bass is one thing. A drummer, because it's more physical, the drummer can make moves that a bass player can preempt and join in before he even hears it. He knows what you're going to do after he's been with you for a few years. He can see the physicality of it. On the bass, you can't see the physicality of where somebody's going to go. So it's better if the bass player tries to lock in with me, and then as time goes by, I can spread some his side of the stage as well and try and do things with him. It really depends. Like with Simon Fitzpatrick, who plays the Chapman stick, and that's 8 strings, and he triggers synthesizer sounds and plays the root note to every chord at the same time. And we're playing together. Then Paul is playing the other synthesizer parts on top and a guitar lead line. So we all have stuff which is kind of worked out, really. It's not a funk band, it's a prog rock band. It's all kind of worked out who's going to play what, when, where, and how. We do have the moments when we ad lib. I can't say we don't, because we do. So did ELP. So for me, it's pretty much the same playing with a bass guitar or a Chapman stick, which is a bass and guitar, or just a straight bass end on the piano, or like Keith used to play the mini mode bass, and that would reinforce the bass that Greg would play. So for me, it's pretty much the same. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I listen to them, don't get me wrong. It doesn't dictate what I play. It only dictates what I play because we've already decided what it is. So that's how it works.
Fantastic. Anytime I hear you talk about the way you play like that, it's creating melody and being active. You like that more rocky, heavy feel. You like to create the song and not just keep pace. Of course, you do many times, but you prefer to actually create the song with the drums. And that is indicative a lot of times of different styles of music outside of the progressive rock area, like things like metal or jazz fusion, very active drumming. Is there a genre of music that you've always wanted to explore but haven't yet?
To tell you the truth, I mean, there probably is. There are people that I'd like to have played with, so that would dictate what genre of music that would be. But if you're a prog rock drummer, just keeping time isn't part of the game. I mean, it's embellishing, it's underlying, it's playing unison lines with people, it's making it as interesting as possible. If you're in Asia, for example, then those are songs, and those are very basic, and four on the floor and off you go, and that's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. And with some of Greg Lake's songs, From the Beginning, Still You Turn Me On, Lucky Man, Footprints in the Snow, C'est la Vie, are very simple 3-4 chord songs, and you can't do anything too complicated, and I appreciate that as well. So I can go both ways. So I'm very happy with the experience that I've had in my career by having these two elements. As far as other genres of music, yes, I mean, I'd love to have played with Miles Davis. I'd love to have been in Elvis Presley's band. I'm really eclectic in what I like, and I think it's a healthy way to be if you're a drummer, because you need to learn lots of different feels, lots of different rhythmical aspects, and the only way to do that is by playing different styles of music.
Yeah, and I think we get a little bit of that with you in the ELP and the Asia songs. We feel that a little bit coming through for
Good,
sure.
good, good.
I heard the great Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater ask you what makes a great artist, and you mentioned people like Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali. There's a magic that stood out in those people. There's something about those people and the way they present themselves in their art that puts them in an upper echelon. Do you feel that with anyone in our world today that has that special quality and magic to them in the music world?
I mean, can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I mean, I never got to meet him, but I went to a like a cocktail party that his manager was holding up in this suite, and this is many years ago in the 70s, and it was Bob Dylan's manager, and Bob wasn't there, but he did walk through the room. He walked through the room, and that was it. And Bob seems to be quite a shy guy, and there was definitely something about his presence. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I know Greg wrote a song with him. Actual fact, he didn't actually write a song with him. Bob half wrote a song, gave it to his publisher, and the publisher said, I've got this song by Dylan, if somebody wants to finish it off, type of thing. Bob's throwing it out there. And I think Greg got in on that. But Greg never met him, and I'm not sure if he spoke to him on the phone. But there are some people, as you've quite rightly said, do have that presence. And that was definitely someone I felt had something about him when he walked through. There's no doubt about that, when I met Buddy Rich, he had a definite aura about him, that's for sure. I mean, there are a few people.
It's very interesting.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's going to see Elvis Presley perform live. Going to see Muhammad Ali box like I did live. I don't know what it is, but some guys have it and some guys don't.
Yeah, it is something special. And
when you see it, as I say, like with Dylan, even if he just walks through the room, you can tell there's something there. It's great. It's lovely.
Yeah. I remember Greg telling me about the day where he was when Elvis Presley died, and it was a major thing for him. It was so that magic sticks with us for sure.
I don't know what he told you, but Greg didn't always have the best memory. God bless him. We were actually in the Aladdin Hotel.
Yeah. He was in a taxi.
We were in the Aladdin Hotel. So we had the opportunity to meet him, but there was something which happened that particular night. We went to the show in Lake Tahoe. We went to another show in Louisiana, which wasn't a great show with him. He was slightly bloated and whatever. But unfortunately, we never got backstage to say hi. I mean, obviously, we don't play the music that Elvis Presley would have been keen on, but we just enjoyed his craftsmanship. Here's a guy who could sing a ballad, could sing a rock song. His stage presence was like 200%. Whether you like it or not, you've got to say, "Hey, this guy's a pro." End of story. And that's it. So anyway, one of my regrets that we did get to meet Miles Davis. We were around at his house, and that's another guy who had a bit of a vibe about him. There's no doubt about it.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Um, if you go back and you have a chance to whisper something in the 25 or 30-year-old Carl Palmer's ear, what would that be?
To try harder,
Really?
to try
How much
harder.
harder can you try, sir?
Well, I've had a lot of opportunities, from 68 being in the crazy world of Arthur Brown and
Hmm.
having a number one single in 68 called Fire, to being with Atomic Rooster,
Right.
going on and having a number one single here in England, to joining ELP or
Always,
EL,
you've
to
always
go
been
on,
busy.
to go on and, Asia and whatever. I've
Right.
had a lot of shots, but I've never, in my mind, a lot of people would say how lucky I've been, and I would say it's true. But I've had to work really hard for it. There's no
Sure.
doubt about that. And you get nothing for nothing, as we all know. I
Right.
just never managed to crack it. I've never been in anything that's as big as, let's say, Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or Pink Floyd, or as big as what Genesis was. And I'd like
Right.
to have cracked that. I had a small amount of time, maybe a 2-3 year period, let's say 3.5 year period, when ELP, were playing to 78,000 people at a time.
Right.
California Jam, 120 paid, and 50,000 got in for free or whatever it was. So I had I had a little bit of it, but I didn't have as much as what I would have liked to have had. And it's nothing to do with money. It
Right.
never has been for me. It's been to do with it's a game and how good you can be, and how you can project and how you can get across to the public and what you can do. And for me, I never quite cracked it. So it would be to try harder. And I only say try harder because of the things I've learned with all of these different circumstances I've been in that have been highly successful in some people's books. Make no mistake
Absolutely.
about that. But
Absolutely.
I should have paid more attention to certain things, which I won't go into. But that's what I would say. Try harder next time.
Wow, that is a shocking answer, actually, because you are so revered in the music world. And it seems like you've always tried so hard and been so busy all the time. And so it's very, very interesting. If you could have a conversation with any living person, snap your fingers and they're next to you, and you can ask them questions and have conversation with somebody, who would that be?
Wow. Never thought about that. I thought about who would I like to meet, like Da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci would be a great person to meet and go
Yeah.
through his book and what he's done. Who's a lot. Not really thought about it. I mean, there are so many people, really. Um, to sit down with one of the American presidents, and sort of like, be able to talk to him about absolutely anything and get an honest answer would definitely be an afternoon well spent.
Getting an honest answer, that's the trick there.
Yeah. I won't go into that, but yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me about your art. Are you still doing the art? You were the first
Yeah.
to put lights on your drumsticks. Uh,
Yeah, we are. We're still doing it, and there's stuff. We will be doing some shows this year,
Great.
possibly in July. I've got some time to do some stuff. I
In
just released
July?
the whole anniversary. Yeah, in July. Yeah.
You got time in July with the
No,
with
no,
all
what
the
we're going to actually do
dates?
is some art events where I take the art out and I let people see it and they can purchase it and we talk about it. And I introduce people to basically a new art form because, art's never been created like this. I mean, a lot of people are doing it now, but I've
Right.
got pictures of myself doing it in 73. I mean, there's so many drummers, doing it now. It's ridiculous, but that's great. I mean, pleased everyone sees there is something in that. So yes, we'll do something in July, and I've got ideas and things I'm doing for the end of the year, which will involve a new sort of catalogue and things and a new series. But for the rest of this year, I'll be taking out what I've already got and talking about what I'm about to do and things. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I've also
Yeah.
transferred some of the artwork to silk, to like ladies' scarves and things. So there's been a few embellishments along the way, and you can buy the artwork and you can buy the scarf, or you can buy the scarf and not the artwork, or whatever. So I sold about 600 canvases,
Fantastic.
and we've donated to so many different charities. I don't think it's an incredible amount of money, but I think we're somewhere around $45,000-$50,000 has been donated over the years. So from that
Bless you.
point of view, I don't make a big deal about it. I am going to. I've had two art books, which normally are only for sale on my site or on the Scene 4 site. I'm going to update these two art books. I'm going to put them together, take some from each one, and then I've got a lot of new stuff, a new artwork I'm going to add, and do a collage of everything with these new pieces of art, which I've released this year, but aren't in print, aren't actually in the book, but they've all been sold, already.
Right.
I did the first, for the 50th anniversary. I did the first 5 album covers: Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Pictures at an Exhibition, Trilogy, Tarkus, and Brain Salad Surgery. I did a canvas for each one, and I did only 50 of each, and I think they're all sold. 250 of them. I think in actual fact, that's a lie. I think there's about 3 here, 2 there, 1 there, that type of thing. There's about maybe 10, 12 canvases stretched across all 5 that are still available. So I'll take those out, this July, and let people see those, and people will pick them up, that's for sure. Because there's only 50 of each. So mine are all very small numbers. I don't believe in, like a lot of artists do, having, 50 copies for Germany, 50 for America, 50 for France, 50 for Hungary. No, they're exclusive. That's it, for the world, global.
Yeah. Wow, that's it. And the art, if you have not seen it, ladies and gentlemen, please take a look at this artwork. It's amazing. And it really embodies your playing. It's a real great visual of you playing. Amazing. Will those be will you have your art at the shows? I
do project some of the art onto the screen at certain moments. We don't actually tell people that I'm doing it. It just happens. And there is some art which I sell. I did a thing called My Legends series, and it was a tribute to Keith when he died, a piece called Welcome Back. I did one to Greg called Lucky Man, and I did one for John Wetton called Heat of the Moment, and things like that. My Legends series, I do have. They're smaller canvases to what I normally make, and I do usually have those on the merchandise stand. Those are available and for sale, and those are, whoever wants to buy them can buy them. They're not limited edition, or not at the moment. I think we will limit them at 1,000 once we get to 1,000 each. But stuff like that's still available. But it's the art shows that I do. But I don't do the art shows in a gallery. I always do them at people's homes. I get invited, and what I do is anything that's sold that night, I get the person who owns the property and wants to do the art event. They pick a charity, and that's who we did donate a percentage of the sales that evening to. And that's how it's always worked. And that way it involves the community and everyone around. So it works really well.
That is beautiful. It really is a beautiful thing you do. Bless you for it. Thank you. I want to respect your time. I know you got a busy day.
I've got, it's 15:21. I've got one at 3:30. So if we could sign off, it'd be great.
Yep. One more question for you. Do you have something on the top of a bucket list? Something that you've always wanted to do?
I've always wanted to be a better skier.
There you go.
I mean, I ski okay, but I didn't start skiing till I was 68. I mean, I'm pretty good, but when I see some of these young guys, I'd love to be able to ski down, some of the mountains they ski down. I'm just too old. I just not get it. I mean, believe me, I ski good, but I'm talking about on that sort of that level, where you're going to the ski championships each year up to Lake Placid or whatever, that I would like to be better at.
Try harder. Is that there?
Listen, life's all about trying harder. Just because you've achieved something, it doesn't mean you really have. There's more to get from it. That's how I look at it. Anyway, Scott, thanks so much for the interview. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Carl. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.